The year is 1990X. Great national alliances have crumbled into nuclear war. The earth has perished. The seas boiled. The very land cracked. Entire ecosystems have died, and yet mankind still perseveres. Do, 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 do.
Yes, welcome everyone to Season 4 of the Tomodachi Bros podcast. Today, we are most graciously hosted by Brothers Pugum, Noodle, and Dutaku.
Oh my
I am
lord.
the master of Hokuto no Ken.
Well, I guess that makes me the master of Hokuto Ryuken then. Now we have to do battle.
Hate it when brothers fight.
It turns out I am your brother!
No, how could I have known this? It's not like we don't look exactly the same.
It is because we walked into each other and we forgot. And now we are here and we have to do battle.
You walked backwards into each other and bumped your heads, and you forgot everything.
And the funny thing is even though that's totally a thing from Axe Cop, that totally would also be a thing from Hokuto no Ken, I'm just saying. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, we decided to actually give you a TED Talk about one of my favorite series, honestly, of all time, and I believe also one of Noodle's favorite series.
Yes.
Fist of the North Star. What is Fist of the North Star?
Kung Fu Jesus travels the post-apocalyptic wasteland looking like Mad Max.
It literally, I've heard it basically boiled down to a TLDR of Bruce Lee cosplaying as Mel Gibson's The Road Warrior, going around murdering people in the post-apocalypse. And, I mean, that's an incredibly reductive way of describing it, but, I mean, that is pretty much true. Even down to the point where they do the entire thing of Enter the Dragon, where you have this, like, 7-foot-tall guy who proceeds to go from being like, "Hello, hi, my name is Kenshiro." What? And you're like, wow.
Hey guys, it's just Ken! It's just Ken, guys!
And he's Knuff.
He is Ken.
And he's great at doing stuff.
He is Knuff. But I mean, then again, he has the he has the secret art, the secret succession art, the breath of the dragon, which allows him to utilize 100% of the human body's natural abilities. And apparently that allows him to drink just like a single sip of water and like a single bite of, Slim Jim. And that allows him to have, 300 pounds of muscle at all times. Seriously, these people live like, Mr. Universe bodybuilders. There's a lot of them, and they just, for whatever reason, using mystical arts, they are able to maintain their physiques, even though food is at a premium pretty much the entire series. If you think about it, pretty much 90% of the characters have like luxurious flowing, hair, and yet they live in desert wastelands.
I mean, clearly, L'Oreal survived the post-apocalypse.
It's my personal headcanon that there's some kind of Immortan Joe character out there who's holding like a L'Oreal factory. It's like, oh, you won't get your shampoo unless you give me water. But yes, so we are in the far-off future of 1990X. And the great alliance of powers, the East and the West, have gone to war. We don't know exactly why, apart from the fact that one arc mentions that apparently the rulers all knew that the reason for going to war was wrong, but they were greedy and wanted greater power. and so they went to war anyway. But then both sides of the Great War literally perished in nuclear hellfire. And so they're both dead. We don't really know anything about what happened. But apparently now there are giant mutant roided out psycho people, literal actual like cavemen cannibals, and just Mad Max psycho raiders just everywhere. Oh, and also like the everyday average person who's just constantly having a bad time of it, just like all the time. But for whatever weird reason, there's just like an infinite number of these people. I assume just to show that, oh man, these guys mean business. Look at how they're just going through people. We are introduced to a fair few people starting out. We are introduced to a lone wanderer who just wandering through town, and then he gets beaten by a bunch of children, no less. And they throw him in jail. And yeah, the only thing that we got out of this is the fact that the guy's name is Kenshiro. Oh, and the fact that he also has 7 scars on his chest. It's they're arranged in a very particular order. It looks like the Big Dipper. This is important for a couple reasons. Because, well, constellations are a big deal in this series, actually. And in Chinese mysticism, the Big Dipper is actually a deity of death, contrasted to what they call the South Dipper, which actually is not a constellation as we would understand it in the West. It's actually part of, I want to say, Sagittarius. Yes, actually, it's a portion of Sagittarius. It's if you look at Sagittarius and you see this 6-starred cross, that is actually what the Southern Dipper is supposed to be for our purposes. And this is very important, but we'll get to that later. This is, we're just going to hold this off and you put a pin in that. And so the village elder for this particular village sees this and is like, oh no, this guy needs to leave. This guy's bad news. This guy needs to leave. This is bad. And the men of the village press the elder. They're like, well, why? What's this? He's just a bandit, right? I mean, what's the issue? They're like, no. Wherever Hokuto goes, death follows. Sure enough, as soon as this happens, one of those Mad Max Raider gangs proceed to show up, led by a particular giant roided out freak known as Zed, who literally has, he's a stereotypical pink mohawk. He's got, 666 tattooed on his forehead. He's pretty much as punk and as freaky as you can get. And he's about to literally squash this tiny little girl. Her name is Lin or Rin, depending on the translation. And here's the thing, though. Lin's parents had been sent to Brazil so brutally. This was a very brutal deportation, might I add, that she just was rendered entirely mute. However, Kenshiro, being in the cell, proceeded to just touch her. Not in a weird way, ladies and gentlemen, just he touched her and mentioned, it's like, she has suffered greatly, but now that I've done this, she can talk when she wants to. And the first thing she does, as she's about to get squished, is scream for Kenshiro. So what does Kenshiro do? He hears this, gets up, proceeds to break himself out of jail, and walks right out. Whereupon it's probably, if you are at least somewhat familiar, you will know this particular scene, because this is one of the most iconic scenes in the entire series. At which point he proceeds to walk up to Zed and is like, put that girl down. Oh yeah? What are you going to do? I'll make you. Okay, I'd like to see you try. And so Kenshiro proceeds to bellow in the most falsetto way he can and unleashes one of the many, 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 many secret succession arts of the North Star God Fist, which is literally what Hokuto Shinken is. It could also be Hokuto Divine Fist. That's just, yeah, super fist of the North Star. And he proceeds to do it, and it is the 100 crack fist. What does it do? He hits the opponent 108 times, at which point their body destroys itself from the inside out. This is the essence of Hokuto Shinken. It hits the meridians of the body using the same, basically the same meridians that you use for acupuncture, whereupon the body's natural energies will turn on itself and basically blow it up from the inside out. And it's not actually like what a lot of 90s, very, very like clever commentators about, oh, in this world, everyone's got high pressure blood. It's like, not really. This is just using acupuncture on a weaponized scale, basically. And actually, if you must know, that's actually where the writer got the idea from, because he heard about an acupuncture student who was trying to fix an eye condition, and it actually made the eye condition significantly worse. And he goes, aha, that's a perfect way to have an underdog. Is a person who's much weaker could utilize this, strike a person, at which point he's able to take out a much stronger, much bigger opponent. And wouldn't you know it, that's literally what Kenshiro does to this gigantic Zeed. Whereupon we get the entire, oh, you hit me. That was like some kind of mosquito bite. You're already dead. What? And he proceeds to die. Or, do you want to do it? Do you want to do it, Professor?
Oh, very well. Omae wa mo shinderu.
No, Arnie.
And then they explode.
And then
At which
milk
point-
flies everywhere because...
Yes. And then Baby Puga proceeds to look at Dutaku and Noodle and goes, but why though? True story, that actually happened the first time we saw that. Why? Why
And-
is the milk going everywhere?
It's why are they exploding white? And smaller Noodle, not missing a beat, went, well, it's because they drank their milk.
Oh, okay. But thanks to this, then the elder actually describes and is like, oh yes, Hokuto Shinken. It's a secret art of assassination passed down from one successor to another. Wherever Hokuto goes, death follows. This man cannot live here in this village, even though he is our savior. Because if he were to live here, there would just continuously be people that would attack the village.
Never mind that there are already continuously people attacking the village. So maybe having a
Yes.
dude who can explode people just by touching them would...
Yes, but I mean, to be perfectly honest, it wouldn't help much because we'll find out later. Both Kenshiro and the young lad Bat, who was in jail too, just this young boy, both proceed to wander back out into the desert. And they keep finding strange, weird people, like this one fellow who is not Club. I want to say it was...
They find Spade first.
It's Spade.
Yeah, Spade.
Yeah, Spade, because you're probably thinking of Club, who is actually within the Southern Cross. Spade, and later Diamond, who one of which Spade uses a crossbow, actually not terribly dissimilar from a Road Warrior character. And Diamond, who can use the powers of a staff. He is a master staff fighter, you guys. Which point, Kenshiro proceeds to first off show that Hokuto no Ken has a lot of very specific abilities. Albeit, this one's actually really important because it keeps coming up. Hokuto Shinken, secret art, 2-finger space. What does this do? It literally means he can grab any missile out of the air, grab it, and then proceed to throw it back. And they can do this instinctively. They don't even need to be looking in that direction. They don't even need to be cognizant of the attack. They can just do it. This is actually a thing later because one of Kenshiro's brothers, who also knows Hokuto Shinken, literally is having a conversation with Kenshiro. Someone fires a crossbow at him. He proceeds to grab it, throw it back at the person, at which point then Kenshiro has to jump out of the way in order to, stop the arrow from killing this lady. Mamiya should have listened to Toki. Toki told her that it wouldn't work. The things that happened about, 5 volumes later aside, they proceed to realize, after seeing a bunch of villagers that were killed with a strange insignia on them, that this was not just random attacks. These are actually a coordinated assault by a singular force, the force of King. Who is King? Well, he is a guy who's actually been slowly conquering the entire Kanto region, and he has a capital called Southern Cross. And he has an insignia, which is a giant bloody cross. And wouldn't you know it, Kenshiro knows this guy. He knows this guy really well. And why is that? Because this guy gave him 7 scars on his chest.
He is one of the 6 masters of Nanto Seiken, or one of the 6 masters of the great schools of Nanto Seiken, which has 108 schools, which is a kind of cousin art to Hokuto Shinken, which instead of destroying the body from within, it uses ki to destroy the body from without. So it ends up with a lot of cutting attacks and people doing karate chops that literally cut the person who you do the karate chop on in half.
A lot of energy attacks and things that you see people do in Hokuto no Ken come from Nanto Seiken. Nanto Seiken literally translated is Southern Cross Holy Fist.
King, if I recall correctly, is the master of the Soaring Eagle style.
Yes, the Southern Cross Soaring Eagle. There's the Soaring Eagle, the Crimson Crane, the Whooping Crane. There's the Holy Phoenix, and I want to say the Blessed Mother.
And the Waterfowl. You forgot the Waterfowl.
Oh, yes.
I was about to say you forgot the Fist of the Duck, yo.
Southern Cross, Holy Fist, Fist of Duck.
See, it's called the Waterfowl Fist, and it seems to be very, it's kind of inconsistent throughout it, whether it's talking about a duck or something, but it's also in some ways implied to be the Fist of the Swan.
It's supposed to be the most elegant fist, so the implication seems to be that it's Fist of the Swan. But when you translate it literally as Fist of the Waterfowl, I can't help but want to call it the Fist of the Duck.
Here's the thing. It is a aerial martial art, which is incredibly powerful, focuses on arm attacks, and also has very delicate footwork, and to the point that if you even trouble the ground around the practitioner, it completely neuters them. Swans actually are very poor swimmers. They basically need to constantly be treading water, otherwise they'll sink. So for this reason, I choose to believe that it is the Fist of Swan. All the Nanto styles are named after birds, by the way, too. So this is a thing. There really isn't any reason for this, but it's a kind of a cool naming convention, and you'll kind of notice that related birds will be in related schools. For instance,
and they'll mention that a lot of the lesser styles, which have birds that are related to things, have are subsidiary schools of the greater schools. There's a Kingfisher Fist, which is a subsidiary of the Heron Fist.
There's also I want to say the Cormorant, who is actually Dagar, who is Yuta's adjunct. So yeah, you'll kind of notice related birds, flock together. But we're talking about a bunch of characters that we're not going to see for a while. We don't even technically know King's name, even though Kenshiro knows King's name. In fact, basically as soon as Kenshiro sees King's insignia, he immediately is on the warpath. And it's I need to, defeat the And Bat's constantly just like in, like, what's going on? Why is it such a big deal all of a sudden? Kenshiro really didn't seem to care about anything. He's just defending himself, but now he's actually like going out of his way to go towards this one city. Whereupon he encounters another character who is, if you want to, if Zed was to be the crazy, pink mohawk, Club takes this to 11 because not only does he have a giant mohawk, it's literally made out of razor blades. And he has giant tiger claws, and he's taking great pains to, prove it's like, my fellows, the other lieutenants of King, basically just rested on their laurels. They, were just so strong that they didn't think that, maybe there was someone stronger. But me on the other hand, I constantly in training. And so he's just going around just shredding people with his tiger claws until he just runs out of people. And he's like, all right, send out the next guy. And then Kenshiro just walks out. So, this goes about as well as you'd imagine. Kenshiro is a bridge to the North Star, dubbed the North Star, does it. He breaks him like a Kit Kat bar. Kenshiro, while he has mercy, he does not have mercy for people who go out of their way to inflict suffering on others. And there's been a few situations up to this point where he's like, okay, I will let you go. But as soon as he does that, when inevitably the bad guy is like, I'm going to be even more evil. And Kenshiro's like, all right, I'm just going to, I'll just push the pressure point again, and now you're going to die in 2 seconds rather than a minute. And it's at this point that we actually get the flashback that kind of explains how everything went down. Whereupon, a year prior, Kenshiro and Julia, and yes, her name is Julia. I don't care what Viz says. I don't care what Sega says. Her name is Julia. All right.
I would much rather her name be Julia than, be Yuria. Because then it's like...
Or at least Julia, which is what it would be in Latin.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Julia are visiting the grave of Kenshiro's master, which kind of muddies things because I want to say when the other Kenshiro's brothers kind of recount what was going on at that time, their master was still alive?
The first arc of Fist of the North Star, kind of a lot of the finer details get retconned in later arcs.
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of it kind of goes more into like why King did what he did, whereas and that's a lot more elegant, but I mean, kind of, yeah, actually, now that I think about it, pretty much everything in this situation is about to be retconned. Because what happens is King shows up and proceeds to have this really awesome speech. I really enjoy this. Whereupon he, announces like, I love this age of lawlessness, this demon age where strength is the only attribute that matters. And anyone who desires anything can do whatever they wish as long as they are strong. And Kenshiro just kind of cocks his eyes, and is like, King, this isn't who you are. Why are you doing this? At which point, he ignores Kenshiro and is like, Julia, I've always loved you. I've always desired you. Become my woman. And she's just like, no. Ew. Gross. You give me the ick. No. And one of the coolest kind of clashes happens, whereupon, taking this poorly, King decides to utilize one of his secret techniques, the Southern Cross Murder Prison Fist, or later it's called the Southern Cross Infernal Killing Fist, depending, because I want to say they actually utilized a kanji in the initial run, which was mentioned the Bunraku, which is I want to say like basically the Untouchables of Japan that, interact with corpses and like butchers. I don't know the specifics of that. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm probably wrong. But whereupon they bring up something that actually has kind of sort of been touched on before, that Hokuto Shinken can literally copy any move that they can see. So immediately Kenshiro proceeds to do the same move, at which point both men, jump past each other doing these flying kicks, whereupon King turns around, he's cool. Kenshiro turns around, at which point all of his limbs are cut. And so he slumped down to the ground. And so King's like, all right, Julia, once again, do you want to be my woman? No, you're still gross and grody. All right. And so his men proceed to hold Kenshiro up, and he proceeds to just punch holes into his chest. I realize you can't actually see that I'm doing this. I'm making a stabbing finger with my index finger, which is what Sheen. We learn that that's what King's name actually is. What Sheen was doing to Kenshiro at this time. At which point it gets to the bit where he completes the 7 scars, and Julia finally is like, fine. If you let him live, I'll go with you. And Sheen just laughs and leaves Kenshiro to die with a bunch of holes in his chest. And yes, there are literal, actual medical doctors that have recounted to this, that have been like, if someone actually did that, first off, more power to you, because holy cow, you would have to have gigantic finger strength in order to just punch through someone's pectoral muscles like that. But you would basically have your lungs collapse. But once again, I'd like to point out that Kenshiro...
This is Fist of the North Star. If that's the thing that, really pulls you out of the realism, just like this is not a story for you. You have a man literally at one point in his backstory have survived a nuclear blast because of his mastery of chi and everything. So
we haven't gotten to him yet. He's coming, okay? He's coming, all right? We haven't even gotten to the Fist of Duck yet, okay? We haven't even gotten to that bit. So we have a lot to get to.
Honestly, I think we should probably just get through the first arc and then leave the rest for people who are interested in the series. Spoiler free. Yeah. I mean, at the rate that we're going, it would probably be a multi-episode thing just to get through.
Yeah, I suppose I was thinking that we could probably get at least to the Fang Clan. Because, I mean, not for nothing, but Godland, as funny as it is not really that interesting. Now we know what's going on. We also know the reason why Kenshiro is doing what he's doing. At which point, we proceed to finally get to the palace. And we also see the last of the 4 lieutenants of Sheen. And this is one of the coolest kills in the entire series to me. And it's such a nonchalant way that they do things, because Mr. Hart,
his superpower is that he's fat.
He's fat. He's a fat boy. But here's the thing, though. He's actually a really mild-mannered guy. You see him, and he's this giant fat guy with a Fu Manchu. And you're like, oh no, he's just going to go around murdering people. And he goes up to a bartender and is like, oh, it's okay. You're an important person. At which point he proceeds to put his hand down on the broken glass. At which point he proceeds to basically have a hissy fit and flattens the guy's head to the point that his eyeballs fly out of his head.
He just freaks out whenever he sees blood.
Yeah, he freaks out, especially whenever he sees his own blood, actually. And he just flattens the guy's head. It's really funny. One of the best kills, in my opinion. Kenshiro sees this guy, and he proceeds to just kind of scoff and is like, Sheen, I know you have strange hobbies, but I didn't realize you were into pig breeding. Whereupon Hart basically laughs and he's like, that's really cute because, there's no way that you can kill me. The only person who can kill me is Lord Sheen and his Nanto Seiken. which is actually when the story explains, oh, this is the way Hokuto Shinken works. This is the way Nanto Seiken works. And so, Mr. Hart's, ability of being super fat would prevent Kenshiro from actually touching the pressure points, these meridians.
Except Hokuto Shinken, as stated earlier, has a lot of really, really, really specific moves. And so it has the Hokuto Shinken softness ripping fist, which involves Kenshiro kicking Hart a bunch of times to basically move his giant fat out of the way, and then he can touch the pressure points and cause them to explode.
It's funny, in Ken's Rage, it actually causes him to shoot like a laser beam. But that's neither here nor there. Maybe if we can get, footage from Ken's Rage, we can show that off. But, maybe. Probably not. Omega Force, Koei Tecmo, why do you not let us play these games anymore?
I asked the same question about Monster Rancher 4, every day, because Tecmo is not good about maintaining their older catalog. When are we going to get nostalgia on something other than the DS? I'm talking about the RPG, not the phenomenon.
Trying to find anything on that RPG is impossible, just because you put in nostalgia RPG into Google and it's just absolutely everything else. But it was a fun game.
Yes. Oh, it is absolutely fun. Very underrated. Also, it was basically one of those games that Arranger and Snek, had a really funny collab on prior to, Arranger and Snek being Arranger and Snek. But that's neither here nor there. So effectively, getting back to our thing, Sheen now is like, all right, this is how it's going to be. All right, this is how it's going to be. Okay, I'm going to have to kill you again. Killing you once wasn't enough, I suppose. And he proceeds to try and do this, just kind of like a dancey dance, multi-hand stab move on Kenshiro. Kenshiro proceeds to just grab Sheen's hand and proceeds to just break it. Yeah, apparently Kenshiro is not having any of his nonsense today. And then proceeds to basically execute him in the style of his own bloody symbol, punching him in a bloody cross. Kenshiro, ecstatic that he's finally saved his wife, proceeds to realize, wait a second, this is not my wife. This is not my wife at all. This is a mannequin. Sheen, what did you do? Oh, yeah, about a month after I took her from you, she committed, saying that I'm sorry, she went to Brazil. She went to Brazil along with Rin's parents. And she said that apparently she'd much rather speak Portuguese than be near me, even though I loved her. And I really should not have listened to your older brother. That was a raw deal. I figured that probably the guy with the big spooky skull helmet probably, was like, I don't know if I should listen to him, but, but now I am dying, so, I'm not going to give you the satisfaction. And he proceeds to move to Brazil, too. And with that, Kenshiro actually proceeds to give him a memorial, and Bats goes, why? Why did you do that? Well, because we love the same woman. At which point, they walk away, not really getting any good resolution. And there is another arc, the Godland arc, which doesn't really... It kind of sort of explains what happened in the nuclear war, but ultimately is not really necessary for really anything, apart from the fact that King of Fighters fans, if you're ever wondering where Colonel Hydern's, design comes from, congratulations, now you know. Also, the execution move, the bone removal strike that Kenshiro does on Colonel is one of the better executions, I'd argue, because it literally is his skeleton flying out of his body. We have fun here.
Yes, basically the plot of Godland is that a group of special forces people basically saw the writing on the wall, went like, yeah, we're just gonna go AWOL so that we can survive this nuclear apocalypse and then set up our own society in the ashes, and created this weird super eugenics cult.
Yeah, religious cult. And they had trained so extensively they actually were veering into the supernatural martial arts. The problem being is that they literally were interacting with a bunch of OG supernatural martial artists, and it didn't go well for them.
Well, their colonel was one of the successors to one of the smaller or lesser styles of Hokuto Shinken. Hokuto Shinken, Nanto Seiken.
Yes.
So, yeah. But yeah, when you're going up against the successor of Hokuto Shinken, then yeah, that does. When that means that you cut really good with knives, well, the dude who can explode you by looking at you kind of wins.
But anyways, so after wandering around, after proceeding to put down this weird, strange religious cult of Green Berets, Kenjiro and Bat proceed to hear about this city, which has a near infinite amount of water, and they need bodyguards. And so they go, all right, this sounds great. We're going to go here. And meanwhile, while this is happening, they also see that the village has also got another contractor, which we actually see introduced in one of the, once again, more hilarious introductions of characters. And I'll let you describe this, Noodle, because he's your favorite.
Well, he's also Baby Pugum's favorite, but for different reasons.
He's also the professor's favorite, ironically. He's very popular.
He is. Ray is a G, yo.
So this character is introduced where there is, a bunch of Mad Max bandits, and they're chasing a young lady who is draped in a cloak, and they're chasing her, and they're like, it's a beautiful woman. We're going to take her, and we're going to take her and snuggle her. Wah, we're so evil. And they go, and they catch up to this beautiful young lady draped in a cloak. And then the beautiful lady takes off the cloak, and it's this 7-foot tall triangle man who's just like built like an Adonis. And it's like, how did you disguise yourself as a, petite woman, 7-foot tall man? Perhaps it is your magnificent locks of hair and your, massive mullet that threw them off. But yeah, and then he proceeds to cut all of them in half, because turns out he is also a master of Nanto Seiken. This is Ray. He is the successor to the Nanto Seiken Waterfowl Fist.
He also does one of the cooler Waterfowl Fist moves. Nanto Succession Spirit Barrier Wave.
Yes.
So yeah.
He is on search for a man with 7 scars, because he has heard that a man with 7 scars killed his family.
Dun, dun, dun! You have to understand, we know this, and then the entire time throughout this entire arc, this is just the elephant in the room, because Ray is on the hunt for the man with 7 scars, and Kenshiro's there, who is the man with 7 scars. And once he learns about this, Kenshiro literally is like, so, you're on the hunt for this guy with 7 scars, huh? Yeah. What are you going to do with him? I'm going to kill him. All right. Okay. That'd be crazy if that happened. Yeah. All right. And so what's happened now is this village is led by a woman, Mamiya. And Mamiya is a warrior woman. She has super killer yo-yos. I'm not kidding. They actually kill someone. Because these are not the only contractors that are trying to become bodyguards. And she actually kills another set of raiders with these giant razor yo-yos. If you play as her in any of the fighting games, Yeah, she's basically like a trap character because her entire thing is she's got tricky tricks. She uses a lot of weapons. The problem being is that weapon users in Fist of the North Star are not particularly good, question mark. And she also, and this is kind of a thing that is mentioned multiple times, but really goes nowhere, is the fact that she apparently looks just like Julia, which she really doesn't.
With the
Because-
art, yeah, that their character designs are radically different, but everyone's just like, oh, they look exactly the same.
I can kind of sort of see it in the eyes, but I mean that's about it. And I could, chalk that up to the fact that Tetsuo Ohara really only has like 3 female designs in him. I love his art. I think it's absolutely glorious, and you owe it to yourself if you are interested in the series to look up the original manga art. Don't watch the Toei anime. Read the comic. The art is way better, and it actually it's a lot more succinct.
There's
So-
a whole lot of filler in the anime.
Yes, there's a humongous amount of filler. On the other hand, though, it also explains in a couple things and actually names certain techniques, which we don't get names for otherwise. I mean, who cares about the South Dipper, Crimson Crane style? Am I right? But
Not me. Freaking flamingos.
anyways, we then learn who the villains of this arc are. They are a bunch of strange hills have eyes, like Leatherface-esque, like strange hillbilly cannibal weird cavemen people called the Fang Clan. The Fang Clan all basically are weird cavemen people that like simultaneously eat people and also are constantly on the hunt for like other resources. And they learned about this, well of infinite water, and so they are ready to take that. And they are just sending waves upon waves of their brothers after this. And now that, they have 2 supernatural martial artists, they are getting a little bit concerned. But not really, because, I mean, they have supernatural martial artists too, like Madara, who's just a guy who also is like a grizzly bear. Apparently that's a thing that you can do with enough inbreeding. You can just have a guy who's a grizzly bear. And the funny thing is apparently Madara, the only reason why he comes out at all is because Ken and Rei's killing intent is so violent that this normally quote unquote, nonchalant guy comes running out and tries to rip Rei's head off. This doesn't go well for him, by the way. He gets his head cut off.
But yes, after much fighting with the Fang Clan, the patriarch of the Fang Clan basically goes, you're hunting for the man with the 7 scars. Well, I know who the man with the 7 scars is. It's that guy right next to you. And Rei's like, Kenshiro, is this true? And Kenshiro's like, yes, I do in fact have the 7 scars on my chest. In which case, Rei's like, well, guess I gotta kill you now.
Well, on top of the fact that the Fang Clan patriarch basically learned who the 2 defenders were, realized Kenshiro literally has no one alive who he would love, but Rei still has a younger sister. His little sister is still alive. And so he actually tracked down the little sister and is keeping her as a captive and is like, all right, Rei, now I'll give you your sister, but you have to kill that man. But you want to kill him anyway, don't you?
And so Rei and Kenshiro square up, and they do these secret techniques, and they use them on each other, and then they both fall down dead. And the Fang Clan patriarch's like, oh no, Aha! I have actually won! Haha! They killed each other! This plan went perfectly! It's amazing! Oh wait, where did the sister go? Wait, there's Kenshiro. He's right there. He's holding the sister. How did this happen? Wait, why is my head on the ground?
You're not very smart, are you?
Well, no. So it turns
Turns
out that the secret technique that Rei and Kenshiro used on each other, these secret stances that they used, were actually secret messages that Hokuto Shinken and Nanto Seiken practitioners have that actually go, we're just going to knock each other out. Again, really, really, really specific techniques.
Bear in mind, though, that there are several situations whereupon the Hokuto schools and the Nanto schools would collaborate with each other on various things. But yeah, it is. You have to wonder, like, did Kenshiro have, a situation with Ryuken where he's like, oh, all right, Kenshiro. Now remember, if a Nanto, fighter proceeds to come up to you and stands like this, that means you're supposed to stand this. And that means he's about to attack your pressure points and you have to attack their pressure points.
And you're both going to make each other look like you passed out. What sort of situation is going to cause this to happen, Master? I don't know.
But this is totally a thing that I'm going to teach you. All right, next day, we're going to learn about how to do the heaven mountainly breaking slash, which allows you to literally karate chop through anything. Once again, Master, why is this a move that I'm going to learn?
I don't know, but you only have to see it once for you to know it because of the secret techniques of Hokuto Shinken, so might as well learn it.
Yes, and so...
It probably just was that, really once you learn the technique that lets you master any technique immediately after seeing it once, it probably just was the thing of like, well, some Hokuto Shinken practitioner somewhere, 200 years ago saw somebody else use this move, and we're just going to teach you literally all of the moves just in case.
Clear eyes reflection, yes. Anyways, getting back to the thing. So, at this point, then, Kenshiro comes clean. And Rei reveals, says, hey, I understand that you are a man with 7 scars, but you are not the man I am looking for, because you are a kind man with a clear heart, and you would never do that. And so they ask Irie, and they say, Irie, Rei's little sister, who actually kidnapped you? It was an awful man with a awful skull mask and 7 scars. At which point, Kenshiro once again gets this face. It's just this face with a scowl, and he goes, I know that man. That's my older brother. A man who I thought I had killed. His name is Jagi. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is where we're going to leave this, because this is an entire new start. A new start where Kenshiro actually is not just by himself now. He actually has a friend. Kenshiro has a friend now.
Kenshiro has a sidekick. And unfortunately for the sidekicks that Kenshiro has, that old saying that where there is Hokuto, death follows is very, very true.
We also learned that Kenshiro has a lot of brothers. A lot of brothers.
If you like the series, I very much recommend giving it a read yourself so that you can enjoy everything without us spoiling it. You've spoiled like the first 2 arcs, kind of, sort of, a little bit, but there's a lot more details in there that we did not talk about. If you are a fan of gratuitous violence and action and super manly men doing super manly things and shedding many a manly tear because it turns out he wasn't so evil after all, then
I'm
yes,
sorry that I literally was terrorizing children, but I really, really loved my master. Now I'm going to die now. Souther, you were so cool!
Anyways, but yes, there's many manly men doing many manly things and shedding manly tears and At one point there's a Kung Fu Jesus, and at one point, Dolph Lundgren shows up.
At one point, Nikki Sixx literally is fighting against, Super Satan.
Yeah.
And sacrifices his eye in order to ensure that Kenshiro survives.
Yeah, so, all in all, this is, it's a great series. Give it a check. Check it out. Check it out.
Yes. Yes.
Check out the anime after you check out the manga. And then check out the other mangas. There's lots of them. There's lots of side stories. There's a prequel series. There's lots of them. Check it out. It's amazing.
Yes. So, that's, I guess Noodle's final thoughts. What are your final thoughts there, Professor? Do you have any thoughts?
I have a couple thoughts. I mean, like a day. Not too many. I don't want to get carried away now. That being said, I am not as ensconced in, lifts with a straight bar as you guys are. Albeit, I'm fascinated, and the more I learn about it, the more I like it. I really do need to sit down and just read it and really kind of just dive into it, because it's not only is it a fascinating time capsule of manga. When did it start? The 70s? Late 70s, early 80s, I think?
It's 1983.
Okay,
It's
so
1983 to 1987. Yeah.
The 80s. And, it's such an interesting little time capsule of that time. And this is going to be a really weird thing to say, but, bear with me as I explain. I kind of miss that early 80s aesthetic, where the dudes were, these huge upside-down triangle and Mad Max uniforms, just beating the snot out of each other. I'm just saying, I talked about this a little bit in JoJo, because it's so many anime protags, even in the shonen genre, are these really effete, lean, little, minuscule pocket princes. And don't get me wrong, I'll rep for the pocket princes. There's a good number of them that I like, but it's where are the manly men who stand up and do manly, cool things and blow dudes' heads off? I miss that.
Yeah, all I can say is be careful of watching it around, your small, impressionable younger sister, because you will forever alter and, set her taste in men. Because, baby Pugum, who is now an adult, is her taste in men is basically gigantic muscle men with long hair, and I 100% blame Fist of the North Star for that.
Fist of the North Star and Dragon Ball. I think she had an awakening when she was about 5, and she saw Super Saiyan Goku for the first time, and she's like, whoa. And I'm like, oh boy.
And Ray is her favorite because he has really long hair and he's really pretty, and he also screams and cuts people in half. She's like, it speaks to me on many levels.
I'm just saying, when you turn D. Schneider gay because you're so fabulous, you are really, really pretty. I'm just saying. But we haven't gotten to that yet. That's later. That's two arcs from now. So, but yes, if you want us to continue, we will happily continue. This is a series that both Noodle and I both love. Alternatively, we could also do other mangas. There's Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer. There's Battle Angel Alita. That's another one that I really like. And Noodle, you really like that one too, don't you?
Yes, I do. I need to read the series now that it picked back up onto Mars. I haven't read any of the actual on Mars stuff.
Martian Chronicles is weird, mainly because it's heavily implied that the Alita we're following is actually a completely different copy of Alita, even than the Last Order one.
Oh my.
Yeah, I think Supernova is doing some shenanigans again. So.
Well, this is getting out of hand, and now there's 4 of them.
Yeah, I know, right? But anyway, so yes, or maybe even we could have the professor do. You know what? Actually, here's the thing. We talked about it now. Next episode. Here's the thing, Professor. You didn't hardly talk. Next episode, we are gonna do. Do you love my mom? Your mom?
Do you love your mom and her 2-hit multi-target attacks?
Yes.
Or Okasan
20
Online to spare you several
Yes.
breaths.
Yes. We're going to do that one. Because actually, funnily enough, Deepest Lore, this is actually a series we touched on in the Fable, the second series. But now it's forever lost. And also as forever lost is Cog judging both of us mightily. Like, there's a lot of judgment going on. But now we can talk about the light novels. We can talk about the differences with the anime because it did receive a one season anime, which
Yep.
honestly I'm not a super fond of. I actually really like the light novels. But yeah, so
Yeah, absolutely. I think we can embrace that. So thank you,
cool.
gentlemen, for leading us in this. Like, as I said, I didn't know as much about today's topic, but it's always really exciting to learn.
It
Always
is awesome.
glad to help.
All right, and we're going to see you guys in the next one.